Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. Obviously I've whacked the Disney ears on for this video because as you can tell by the title, this is a Disney themed video today. So if you don't know me already and you are new here, you just stumbled across this video, then welcome. My name is Shannon and I am obsessed with Disney. I'm also cabin crew, so I'm very lucky that I get to travel across the whole world, and because of that I have managed to get to a lot of the Disney parks across the world. I have one left to do, which is Tokyo, and obviously that has 2 parks. So technically I've got 2 parks left. And recently I took a trip to Hong Kong for the first time, and I thought I would share all my tips and tricks, basically anything that I wish I had known before I went. I did this kind of video when I went to Shanghai, which was over a year ago now, and you guys said it was very, very helpful. So here I am doing the same thing once again. So if you haven't already seen the vlogs, I went to Hong Kong Disneyland back in January of this year. It's been about 2 months since I've gone, and whilst I've been editing the videos, I've been trying to think of the things that have come up that I really wish I had known before I went. Like I said, I am not a die-hard Hong Kong Disneyland person. I've only ever been there once. So this is basically things that I sort of wish I knew before I went as a first timer, and anything that I think is worth knowing before you go. I think I've got about 6 or 7 tips. They kind of roll into one another, so let's get started. So just for reference, I live in the UK. If you already live in Hong Kong, then some of these will probably come quite naturally to you, but over in the UK we do things very differently. So some of the things might be more aimed towards people that are from the UK or from somewhere else other than Hong Kong. And also, as I said, I'm cabin crew, so I got the pleasure of working my flight out there. I didn't have to pay for my flight, my hotel, or anything like that. So I didn't stay on site at Disney. I've got no tips and tricks for flights and hotels. It is just for when you're there, if that makes sense. So let's crack on. My first tip is more specific to people that are traveling from the UK or overseas to Hong Kong. Get yourself an eSIM. So when I went to Shanghai, I did not get an eSIM, and I worked out another way of doing it and getting the Wi-Fi whilst I was out there in the parks and everything, and I ended up having to go to guest relations to do that. However, when I went to Hong Kong, I got myself an eSIM, and honestly, if I'd have just said in the Shanghai tips video, get yourself an eSIM, it would have been a whole lot easier. And somebody put it in the comments and I was like, what is an eSIM? And then I started asking around and everything made a whole lot more sense. So there's a few companies that do it. So I used Airalo, there's also Maya and Holafly or Olafly. It's Holafly, and you basically are getting a SIM that allows you to use your data abroad. Some of them have it specific to continents, some of them have it specific to the exact location that you're in. I just got one specific to Hong Kong. I got myself 2 gigabytes of data. I didn't use nearly anywhere near as much as that. I was only there for a day, but if you're going for a little bit longer, maybe you'd want some more. But I only got 2 gigabytes of data. It was valid for 15 days and it cost me £6. So that is nothing. That is pennies when you think of the convenience of being able to have data in there. The data also gives you the option to use the Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi wasn't that great when I was there, to be honest. Might be because of how busy it was. I did go during Chinese New Year, so it was rammed. It was really, really busy, so maybe that's why, but I did rely on my data quite a lot when I was out there, and I found that it was just so easy to do. So I would definitely recommend getting yourself an eSIM just for convenience, just for peace of mind. We all know Disney days can be very stressful, so that is just one less thing on your list to stress about. With that one, and this is one of those tips that you'll hear in every single video, so I'll only speak about it quickly, but along with your eSIM, you want to get the app. Every single time you go to a Disney park, you want to be getting the Disneyland app. Every single park has its own one, so just download the Hong Kong Disneyland app. It will tell you everything on there, anything about premier access, virtual queues, timings for shows, wait times for rides, everything. It will give you a map. It is just the easiest thing to have on your phone. It does easily connect to the Wi-Fi, but obviously, like I said, I struggle with the Wi-Fi a little bit, which is why I've added this one in here. It goes hand in hand. Get your eSIM and get the app. Moving on to tip number 2. So if you're only going for a short period of time like me, I literally had the 1 day and the 1 day only, then you want to arrive early. Somebody said to me to arrive an hour early, so I did, and it was still so busy. The queues were very, very long. If you want to make the most of your day, arrive early. With that as well, if you really want to make the most of your day, when buying your tickets, you can get certain options that include early access, early entry, premier access, things like that. I would really recommend using Klook to get your tickets. This is not an ad, by the way, but I got my tickets on Klook both times when I went to Shanghai and to Hong Kong, and it was so simple. You have to get a park reservation when you go to Hong Kong still, but Klook does that when you buy your ticket, so it's all sorted for you. It was really, really easy. They had so many options. You can get a ticket that gets you in early, but also gets you special viewing areas for some of the shows. It gets you certain fast passes or premier access to some of the rides. So definitely check out your options if you are going for a short period of time and you want to make the most of your day. Another thing to say that kind of entails with all of that as well is that the park opening times is very different to most of the parks that I've been to across the world. If you go for a normal Disney day, say in Paris for example, or over in America, their parks usually open quite early, probably at about 9 AM on a normal day, and if you are staying on site and you get that early access, then it will usually be about 8 AM, maybe 8:30. They're very early park days and they usually shut a lot later as well. With Hong Kong Disneyland, it didn't open until 10 AM, and that's the latest I've seen across all of the parks I've been to. You can get, like I said, a ticket that gives you early access. I'm not too sure how early that gets you in. I think it also depends on the time of year as to when they open it for early entry, but you can get that option. If you don't, then it does open at 10 AM. As much as it opened at 10 AM, the queues did start moving outside of the park at about 9:30, and we started moving forward. You checked your bags, did your tickets, and you went in to essentially do what rope drop is. So you could see the castle, but you couldn't go any further. You were just sort of stood on Main Street and nothing opened until 10. When I say the park opens at 10, I mean that rope moves and you walk towards the castle, and you can actually only go through Fantasyland and World of Frozen at 10 AM. All the other lands don't open until 10:30, maybe 11 AM, which I thought was really, really strange. As far as I can remember, across all the parks I've been to, that has never been a thing before. So you sort of really have to plan your time when you consider World of Frozen being their newest part of the park. It's very, very busy anyway, but if it's only that and Fantasyland that's open, they're the only rides that are open. Everyone is going there. The world and its wife is in World of Frozen, do you know what I mean? And it is just very, very, very busy. So as much as you're early, as much as that's probably the only time if you're gonna wanna ride one of the Frozen rides that you can even get on it, you're still gonna be in big crowds. I really did think that was quite strange for a Disney park. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen that anywhere else. I don't think it happened in Shanghai. So you really wanna make sure that your time management skills are on point really, and that you've sort of created a little route for yourself, because in my head, I was just gonna wander, but really, in theory, I should have gone right straight to World of Frozen. If I wanted to get in the queue, I should have just got in the queue straight away. Whereas I was like, oh my god, it's the castle, it's so pretty. Do you know what I mean? I was really taking it all in, so that's why I didn't rush. And then I was sort of stuck because I knew I didn't want to wait in the 140-minute queue. And then after that, there was no rides in Fantasyland that I wanted to go on, and no other areas were open at that time. So I was just sort of wandering. That's a bit of information that I really wish I'd known. I wish I'd known that all the lands didn't open at the same time. I think if I was to go back, I'd definitely book a ticket that included those premier access. It is a lot more expensive, but I think, especially for me as crew, I'm only going for the one day. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest tips. That's one of the things I really wish I'd known before. The lands don't open at the same time. They open gradually. So just bear that in mind when planning your Disney day. Moving on to transport. So transport out there is super, super, super easy. I am not one for public transport. I get really overwhelmed when it comes to trains and buses. I live an hour away from London and I still struggle using the tube trains in London. So I'm not really your girl when it comes to public transport. However, I have heard from so many people that the train is super easy. I actually took an Uber, and Uber works exactly the same as it does over here in the UK. It's the same app, everything. It was nice and cheap and cheerful, really easy to do. But if you are not a little wuss like me and you are happy to take public transport, then the trains are really easy to do. So the MTR is a service out there, which is basically the equivalent to our C2C, our trains, our tube trains, the subway. I've heard it's quite cheap. I think I actually said this tip in the vlog, but if you download Octopus for tourists, it's really easy to use when it comes to paying for the trains and things. And the station that gets you into Disneyland itself is Sunny Bay. And at Sunny Bay, they actually put you on a Disney themed train, which was really cute. I actually did see it from a distance, to be fair, when we were coming into our hotel. It's meant to be really cute. So if you want that kind of vibe when you go into Disney, I've heard it's so easy, really nice and cheap. The train station was actually right outside the entrance at Disneyland, the same way it is in Disneyland Paris. When you walk out of the park, you can see it on your left. same again. You literally come straight out of the park of Hong Kong Disneyland and the train station is there. When I came out to wait for the Uber, we walked right past it, so it would have been a really easy way to get home after the park day as well. That's another way to get into Disneyland. But if you get overwhelmed like me, Uber is so simple to use, so that's always a really good option as well. Okay, a few more tips for you guys. So Hong Kong Disneyland is known for its shows. The shows are where it's at. You want a bit of everything in your Disney day. However, they don't usually do a parade. I think they do a small one, like a street celebration. When I was there, I was quite lucky. They were doing 2 really small ones because they were celebrating the Chinese New Year, which was nice. And there's a few rides that you don't get in any of the other parks that you do get in Hong Kong Disneyland, so definitely try those out. The same way there's different rides, there's actually lots of different lands in Hong Kong Disneyland. So I think their equivalent to Frontierland is Grizzly Gulch, and of course they've obviously got World of Frozen as well, which is not in any other park as of yet. So go and explore those things that you won't get in any other park. However, the shows were amazing, like absolutely blew my mind, and I would definitely say they were the highlight of my trip. Every single show that I watched, the Lion King show, Mickey and the Wondrous Book, Momentous at the end with the fireworks and the castle, it was just spectacular. It was beautiful. So please, little tip from me, please prioritize the shows. Mickey and the Wondrous Book actually happens in Shanghai as well, so if you don't want to prioritize that one, I understand, but coming from me, I saw it in Shanghai and then saw it in Hong Kong. They actually do tweak it. It is different and it was perfect, and I'm so glad that I went to see it. I obviously wanted to prioritize things that I hadn't seen before when I went to Hong Kong, but I have no regrets. I have absolutely no regrets for seeing that show. It blew my freaking mind. It was amazing. So please go and see it. The Lion King show, I didn't know anything about it and everyone said it's a must do. Everywhere I read it was like, you have to do this Lion King show. They were so right. It was the best thing ever. I can't even describe it to you. So please go and see the shows. Another tip that actually sort of goes alongside with the shows is that they actually have subtitles in some of the shows. So in both Mickey and the Wondrous Book and Festival of the Lion King, they had both English speaking characters and Chinese speaking characters, which was really good. I would probably say Festival of the Lion King was mostly in English, and then they had 2 little characters which I think were supposed to be like the hyenas, and they spoke Chinese the whole way through, whereas Mickey and the Wondrous Book was predominantly in Chinese. However, some of the bits are in English, and also you actually have subtitles up on the stage set. They have subtitles on the left-hand side. I'm sure they are Cantonese, that's what one of the girls said, but they were definitely English on the right-hand side. So if you're looking at the stage in front of you, sit on the right-hand side and you can easily follow the story without having to hear exactly what the characters are saying. But if you do want to follow what they're saying, so obviously some of them are making jokes, and like Olaf's in it making jokes sometimes. It's really fun to see what the characters are actually saying. Definitely sit on the right hand side because the subtitles are up there for you to see, and that was a tip that I actually saw in a different video and I wanted to make sure I passed it on because that was actually a really good one. So that's another little tip for Mickey and the Wondrous Book. But please, if you're going to take anything from this video, please watch the shows. Please prioritize the shows. They were insane. Right, a few last things to say. One thing that I noticed is that single rider queues do not exist in Hong Kong Disneyland. So with the American parks, you get a lot of single rider queues. In Paris, you get a lot of single rider queues as well, maybe not as much. In Hong Kong, they do not exist. So if you are wandering around on your own, there's no way of speeding up your day by going on single rider queues, unfortunately. So that's just one thing to note. Another thing actually that I would say is that my Chase card that I use, I'm with Chase Bank and I use their card abroad all the time. They're really good. I was able to pay for everything on that Chase card. I didn't bring any cash with me and I was able to use that everywhere I went, no problems at all. When I was in Shanghai, I had a few problems with it. I think Revolut as well sometimes didn't work. It was quite confusing. However, in Hong Kong, my card worked completely fine. I would always suggest bringing some sort of cash with you in case you want to tip somebody. If you get a regular taxi rather than an Uber, sometimes it's easier to pay in cash. So bring little bits of cash with you. But my card was actually fine out there, which was different to Shanghai. And another thing I wanted to point out is the etiquette. I think I've said this in every single Disney Tips video that I've done. So when you go to America, everyone's very happy, smiley, just happy to be there. Like no one seems to be in a rush as such. However, when you go to Paris, the etiquette changes slightly. People like to push and shove. And that was quite similar with Hong Kong as well. So when we were queuing up ready to go into Festival of the Lion King, we had a lot of people shoving and pushing. No one really had any idea of spatial awareness, and it wasn't even when we were going anywhere. So they basically put ropes around us and we were waiting around and people were just shoving and pushing, and I was like, guys, we can't move. Even if you wanted to move further forward, there's nowhere for you to go because they're not letting us in right now. And then when they finally moved the rope, everyone just ran. You can't run in Disney. That is actually a thing. You're not supposed to be running in Disney. So people make a joke of doing the speed walk at rope drop and stuff like that. People don't actually usually run in Disney in the American parks. They sometimes do it in Paris. You see quite a few people running. But in Hong Kong, did they run? And they ran fast. They were like, nobody's getting in my way. I'm getting my seat. Even when we finally got to our seat, you could just see people scrambling through to get a seat for the show. And it doesn't matter where you sit for Festival of the Lion King, you get a great view. They do it in the round. So like, please don't rush and shove people. The show's going to be amazing from any view that you have. Please do not push and shove people. But that does happen a lot. Along with that as well is when you come to watch the show at the end with the fireworks. It's momentous at the minute at Hong Kong. A lot of people, for some reason, even though big flashing lights are happening because you're watching fireworks, people love to put their flash on. And you know how frustrating that is? Like when you're watching and all you can see is like the back of someone's head really bright and shiny because the person behind you has got their flash on. And you have to calm down because it's a day in Disney and everything's really great and happy and fine. But Jesus Christ, is it annoying. So just bear that in mind. It didn't seem that people were overly considerate of other people around them in Hong Kong as much as they are in the American parks. So that's just one last thing to bear in mind. But I think, guys, that is actually all of my tips and tricks. So hopefully that is going to help you a little bit on your future Hong Kong Disneyland trip. I'm very, very jealous if you will get to go. I'd love to go back. Hopefully I'll be going to Tokyo soon. Fingers crossed I get it and I get very lucky. I get it on my roster soon and I'll be taking you guys there. But that is all of my tips for Hong Kong Disneyland. If you have any more questions or anything I might have missed, please let me know down in the comments. Ask away. Also share any tips and tricks of your own. If you are a diehard Hong Kong Disneyland fan, then I would love to know how you do your Disney days. Please help us all out over here. But yeah, that is everything that I have to tell you guys. So hopefully that does help you with your future trip. I hope you have the best time ever. But I am gonna love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye.